The doors of the courthouse burst open and all eyes turned as one when Kody Brown walked in, shackled, flanked by federal agents. Not anger, not defiance, just emptiness. His empire of lies, carefully built over decades, had finally caught up with him. Jail cuffs clicked with a finality no argument could undo. Behind him, Meri entered, composed but razor-sharp, with one photo in her hand, 25 years of love, betrayal, and stolen trust encapsulated in one. The courtroom was holding its breath as the silence wasn't peace. It was pressure, a storm ready to explode. By day's end, nothing would ever be the same again. The truth wasn't just coming, it was unstoppable. Courtroom doors swung open, and every eye fell upon the man in shackles. Kody Brown stepped in, flanked by two federal agents. Not defiant, not angry, just hollow. His jaw was tight, his gaze distant. The chains on his wrists weren't what broke him, it was the weight of the truth finally catching up. Meri followed, silent but composed, bright-eyed, in the same red blazer she had worn on the first day of the investigation. She carried a single photograph. No files, no documents, just one photograph, a relic from 25 years ago, from the time when trust had still been possible. Courtroom exhaled all at once, and yet the air hung heavy with foreboding. This wasn't peace. This was the silence that presses upon your chest, the lull before the storm. The judge called the courtroom to order. "We are here for sentencing in the case of the state of Arizona versus Kody Brown," he said, voice measured, eyes scanning the room. Charges included wire fraud, identity theft, forgery, and conspiracy to commit financial fraud across state lines. The scale of Kody's deception was staggering. Over 24 financial records, 3 pieces of audiovisual evidence, and 5 eyewitness testimonies had been submitted by the prosecution. Kody's attorney leaned towards him. "You need to say something," he urged. But Kody didn't. He stared straight ahead, vacant, cold, the last remnants of hope extinguished. The bailiff was standing ready, as still as a statue beside the bench. They waited, and every heartbeat was louder than the one before it. Then Meri stepped forward, placing the photograph into the tray for evidence. Her voice was calm, but every word was a blade. "I used to love you," she said, starting off. The courtroom seemed to shiver at the weight of her truth. "I believed in what we were building. I believed in you. I believed that our sacrifices were for our family. I ignored the late nights. I ignored the changing schedules. I even ignored when you told me Christine was more useful because she kept her mouth shut." She took a step closer to the bench, her voice steady and yet breaking with the weight of years of pent-up anger. "But what I will never forgive is that you used my name. You used my life to finance your empire. You turned me into a ghost and then spent my money while telling the world I had emotional problems. Some tears don't fall from sadness. Some fall from the release of a decade of silence." Meri's hands were shaking slightly, but she did not look away. "You didn't just steal from me," she whispered, her voice almost inaudible. "You erased me. I am not asking for mercy. I am not asking for punishment. I am asking for clarity so the children he raised in chaos finally understand what they survived." She stepped down, leaving behind a room heavy with the gravity of her words. The judge nodded slowly, then turned to Kody. "Mr. Brown, do you have anything to say before sentencing?" Silence. Then Kody stood. His voice was low, dark, controlled. "You all think you know me. You think you're saints? Christine, you leaked family drama to producers for money. Janelle, you stayed quiet when I paid your taxes out of the Vegas sale. Meri, don't get me started. You left the moment the cameras turned away. You all used me. You needed me until you didn't. I didn't steal. I built. And yeah, I move money around. But without me, there is no show, no mansions, no BMBS, no TLC contract. I did what I had to, and I do it again. I forged your name because you already left me. That signature just made it official." Courtroom recoiled. Not at the words, but at the venom behind them. In one chilling speech, an empire of deception had been unraveled, and with it, decades of manipulation justified by one man, Kody Brown. The judge inhaled slowly, the gavel in his hand heavy with consequence. "This court finds you guilty on all counts," he said, "based on federal guidelines and the scale of fraud involved, including stolen identity, forged documents, and conspiracy. I hereby sentence you, Kody Brown, to 22 years in federal prison, with eligibility for parole after 18. The gavel struck. Kody didn't blink. Christine gasped. Janelle clasped her chest. Meri exhaled. But the storm wasn't over. Court was just about to adjourn when a reporter shouted from the press row, "Your Honor, there's been a leak." A few seconds later, a grainy video flickered onto the screen in the courtroom. It was Robyn Brown 3 years ago in a notary office, smiling as she spoke to another woman. "My husband's ex doesn't need to know," she said. "I'll bring the paper with her name. We just need it stamped." Courtroom gasped. The smoking gun no one expected had arrived. From outside, not inside. Robyn's head fell into her hands. Meri whispered one final truth. "That's what a guilty conscience looks like." Courtroom cleared, but the story was only just getting started. The video went viral before the bailiffs had even flicked off the lights. 3 million views. Every frame dissected. And at the hospital, Robyn lay sedated, staring, unresponsive. Dayton sat beside her, jaw clenched, laptop open. "Tell her when she wakes up. I'm going public." The truth wasn't coming, it had arrived. Although the courtroom was still in shock over the sentence of Kody, the atmosphere had changed. Now all eyes turned to the looming question: how deep did Robyn Brown's involvement go? The bailiff motioned to the press row, where a reporter was holding up her phone. "Your Honor, there's a video leak." Gasps filled the room instantly. The screen flickered to life. On it was Robyn Brown 3 years ago in a notary office. She was smiling, talking with a woman behind the desk. "My husband's ex doesn't need to know. I'll bring the paper with her name. We just need it stamped." The room froze. Meri's face tightened. Christine whispered under her breath, "It wasn't just his plan, it was theirs." Robyn's head fell into her hands, and for a moment the courtroom felt like it had stopped moving entirely. But the shock wasn't over. The judge banged the gavel. "Order!" Counsel respond. Prosecutor spoke quickly, handing a printed message to the bench. "Your Honor, this email has been verified through IP tracking. It's from Dayton Brown, the adopted son of Kody Brown and biological son of Robyn Brown. He confirms he provided the leaked video." Courtroom erupted in gasps. Dayton, who had been seated in the gallery, rose slowly. The weight of the room was on him as he walked to the witness stand, hand on the Bible, raising the other in oath. "I do," he said. Prosecutor asked why he had waited so long. Dayton took a deep breath. His voice was steady. "For years, I believed in my mom. I believed Kody was trying to hold the family together. But the more I watched, the more I saw things that didn't make sense. I started recording for my own protection. Then I found a folder in her backup drive labeled Red Folder. Inside was the notary video. It had been edited. The original was nearly 10 minutes long." Christine's eyes widened. "She doctored evidence," she whispered. Dayton nodded. The original clip includes Robyn saying, "We'll tell Meri it was a network clause. She won't know the difference. She never reads the contracts." That's when I knew the truth. My mom wasn't just covering for Kody. She was part of it. The murmurs in the courtroom got louder. Janelle whispered to Meri, "Aurora thinks I betrayed her." Meri took her daughter's hand in hers. "You didn't," she said quietly. But Dayton's eyes welled up with tears. He knew the truth, and he had finally chosen it over family loyalty. "I loved her," he said softly, "but love doesn't mean lying for someone." The judge leaned forward, his voice heavy with consequence. "We will now hear the motion to name Robyn Brown as a co-defendant in this case." Robyn's court-appointed attorney stood, his voice shaking. "Your Honor, my client is recovering. She is not fit." "The court disagrees," the judge interjected. "If she was well enough to forge a power of attorney, she is well enough to answer questions." Inside the courtroom, news crews scrambled. The leaked video was already trending across every platform. "Robyn Brown implicated in fraud scheme, Sun leaks evidence," screamed the headlines. Back in the hospital, Robyn lay sedated. Dayton sat at her bedside, laptop open, replaying the notary video. He didn't flinch this time. The nurse stepped in. "Do you need anything?" she asked. "No," Dayton said. He shut the laptop. "Tell her when she wakes up. I'm going public." Courtroom reconvened via secure video an hour later. Robyn's deposition would be read under oath. Christine, Meri, and Janelle sat shoulder to shoulder, their faces tight with anticipation. Dayton took the stand again to introduce evidence, detailing every manipulation, every forged document, every conversation he had recorded. Christine whispered, "It's not just a family collapse. It's generational damage." Meri's jaw clenched. They weren't broken. They were profiting from pretending to be broken. The judge ordered Robyn's protective transport. "She will testify from the hospital under oath," he said. The gallery was packed now. Former crew members, TLC lawyers, 3 off-duty officers, and a lone network executive hiding behind sunglasses. Finally, Robyn sat up in her hospital bed. Oxygen tubes removed, eyes puffy but hands steady. Christine's daughter, McKelty, watched silently from the corner, phone in hand, no recorder yet. Robyn blinked. Recognition, fear, and exhaustion flashed across her face. The judge appeared on the screen. "This is the sworn deposition of Robyn Alice Brown. Do you understand you are under oath?" Her lips quivered. "I do." "Do you admit that you participated directly or indirectly in the creation or editing of a forged power of attorney document used to access funds belonging to Meri Brown?" A long pause. Then Robyn nodded. "Yes." The room went silent. One word, one admission, and years of lies unraveled. The truth had finally taken hold. The judge leaned forward. "Do you have anything else to say before charges are filed?" Robyn looked into the camera, steady now. "I knew what I was doing. I thought I was protecting my family. But all I did was destroy it." Dayton whispered to Meri, "The truth is finally out." And outside, the world waited, eyes glued to the unfolding drama. Courtroom was alive with a whole new energy now. Robyn's deposition had shaken the foundation, but the real storm was yet to come. As everyone was catching their breath amidst revelations, the judge held up a plain black binder which was sealed in plastic. No label, no tracking. Just a typed sticker, TLC Talent Agreement Brown Family Revised 2020. Whispers spread through the gallery. Christine leaned forward, holding Trilly's hand tightly. "This isn't just a story anymore. This is proof." The judge opened the binder. Page by page, the court read the amendments and clauses, documents none of the wives had ever seen. Meri's eyes widened at a section granting Robyn and Kody the right to review footage involving other spouses before airing. "They were controlling our narrative," she whispered under her breath. Christine gasped. "So every tear, every fight, they profited from it?" The clerk continued. Section 7D, Image Preservation Clause pays Robyn and Kody bonuses for maintaining the family through storytelling in case it were to break up in reality. Murmurs erupted from the room. Meri clenched her jaw. "They got paid to keep up appearances while we were drowning in lies." But Section 11C held an even darker truth. In the event that Meri, Christine, or Janelle ever threatened to leave the show, Kody was free to invoke a production hold and to refocus the season. The courtroom froze. "So all of our pain, all of our breakdowns, they were planned?" Christine's voice shook. This revised contract had only 2 signatures, Kody W. Brown and Robyn A. Brown. No Meri, no Janelle, no Christine. There were only 2 people in the know, and they used that to deceive the cameras, the crew, and the audience. The judge's eyes narrowed. If this document is verified, it opens the door to civil suits against the network. Christine sprang to her feet. I want it on the record. I was never shown this, and I lost income because of that lie. Meri said, adding calmly but firmly, I want a full audit of show payments. Kody and Robyn made bonuses off our silence. I want damages. Janelle didn't say a word. She simply nodded, pulling out her own contract from 2019. The murmurs in the courtroom built to a whisper storm. They'd all been lied to not just by Kody, but by the network itself. Suddenly, the doors to the courtroom burst open. A man in a dark suit entered, flanked by lawyers. He handed a card to the bailiff, who passed it to the judge. Courtroom fell silent. Mr. Harold Levine, TLC Network legal representative, the judge said. Christine muttered, Of course they sent someone. Levine stepped up to the bench, her voice even. Your Honor, my clients request that all discussion of the leaked contract be moved to private arbitration. The judge raised an eyebrow. You want to silence court proceedings? Your Honor, we want to protect intellectual property and prevent defamation, Levine replied. Meri shot back, You mean cover your tracks? The judge shook his head. This court doesn't recognize private arbitration for criminal or civil proceedings initiated under fraud. If the contract is real, you will answer for it. Courtroom bristled. TLC's motion to shut the case down had failed. Then came another bombshell from Janelle. There's a second binder, she said quietly, producing for Meri a worn black folder she had found under Kody's truck seat. It's older, from 2017. It lists production bonuses by storyline. Meri zoomed in on one line. Episode 14 Meri Confrontation, bonus $12,500 if tears visible before final edit. Christine's hands were trembling. They paid us to provoke us. They filmed us breaking down for money. The courtroom erupted. The betrayal was no longer simply familial, it was corporate. The network wasn't capturing reality, it was manufacturing pain. The judge leaned forward. Bring the second binder in tomorrow. Civil discovery against TLC will proceed. All cast members not listed on the amended contract will be entitled to compensation reviews and damages. Robyn, who remains in protective custody in the hospital, filed a statement electronically. I didn't negotiate the contract. Kody handled it. I signed what he gave me. I was told it was a renewal. Christine snickered. Robyn signs all her documents with a magnifying glass. She knew exactly what she was doing. But the most astonishing revelation came when Dayton approached the bench quietly. Your Honor, there's a letter from Aurora. She says she can't testify but wants it on the record. The judge took the envelope and carefully opened it. Christine bent forward. What does it say? The judge paused, looking up at the room. Session adjourned. Tomorrow we read the letter and the network faces its reckoning. There's one confession in Aurora's letter, and one name nobody was ready to hear. As the gallery emptied, Meri whispered to Christine, We have to be ready. Whoever that name belongs to, it could change everything. Inside the courtroom, the cameras waited, the world watching. And the real story was just beginning. The courtroom held an unusual tension that morning, heavier than any day before. Journalists, former crew members, legal teams, and family alike held their collective breath. The judge held the sealed envelope in both hands. The paper's weight carried more than ink and pen, as it carried truth, accountability, and years of hidden pain. My name is Aurora Brown, the judge began reading aloud, voice steady. I am the legal daughter of Robyn Brown and the adopted daughter of Kody Brown. I am writing this because I cannot testify in person. I love my family, but I have been asked to lie too many times. This is my truth. Christine's eyes squeezed shut, Truly clenching her hand tightly, knowing a storm would hit. Meri leaned forward, her jaw clenched, preparing herself for whatever was to come. The courtroom went silent, as if even the walls were waiting to hear Aurora's words. In 2020, my mom asked me to sign a document I didn't read. She said it was for family safety. Later, I found out it was about a trust account. She said that was for my future, but then I saw the withdrawals and they weren't for me. The judge's voice paused, while the courtroom gasped audibly and in stunned, silent disbelief. Meri's hand flew to her mouth. Christine tightened her grip on True Lie. Even Janelle, usually the calmest, looked shocked. The words of Aurora, as read by the judge, cut deeper than any shouted accusation could. 1 year later, I found a flash drive in her desk. Contained recordings of Kody and Robyn discussing contracts, strategy, and show manipulation. One file said S20E7 strategy. I listened. What I heard made me sick. The judge continued steadily, but his eyes darted from the gallery to the front benches. Kody was yelling. TLC needed drama for season 21. Robyn said, "We can dangle Meri again, make her think she's back in." Then Kody laughed. "She's a content trap. Just cry and we'll get 3 more episodes." Robyn even said she would fake therapy sessions if it meant keeping the checks flowing. Courtroom felt like it had fallen through the floor. There were gasps, groans, and even a few tears being heard through the room. Christine stood, voice shaking. So everything, every fight, every breakdown, it wasn't real? They were manufacturing it? Meri's voice cut through. They used my hope as a storyline. Hope is dangerous, but weaponized for TV? That's unforgivable. The judge continued to read. I did not know what to do. I copied the audio and sent it to somebody at the network, but they never responded. I think they buried it. Then last week, when everything exploded, I found that drive again and sent it to the court. Even the stenographer paused, pen poised over paper. The weight of the words seemed heavier than legal language should. Aurora's affidavit wasn't testimony. It was proof that manipulation had been deliberate, systematic, and cruel. I love my mom, but I cannot protect her from herself anymore. Please let the truth be known. It was as if a storm had rolled in, bringing with it a silence over the courtroom. No one moved and no one said a word. The weight of years of lies, manipulation, and betrayal hung in the air. The judge looked up slowly, acknowledging the gravity of the letter. This court recognizes this letter as an official affidavit under penalty of perjury. The audio files sent to the court will be entered into evidence. This is now officially a case of racketeering and fraud against both the Browns and potentially the TLC production team. Christine slowly exhaled, her hands still tight around Truly's. Meri's eyes were wet, but an unsaid relievement adorned her features, justice unfolding at last. Then Dayton stepped forward. Your Honor, Aurora could not be present. She refused because she's emotionally fragile. But she wanted this on the record. Courtroom looked to Dayton, seeing in him the courage it took to come forward. A silence followed, as though the very air acknowledged the bravery of a child standing for the truth against parental power. Kody and Robyn created not just a fictitious family narrative but a factory of lies, Dayton said. They weaponized their children, their spouses, and even the cameras to create pain for profit. And Aurora finally chose truth over loyalty. The judge leaned back, taking a deep breath. We will now begin federal investigations into the Browns' actions and into the production decisions that allowed this to continue. This is no longer a family dispute. This is corporate exploitation, criminal fraud, and racketeering. Christine whispered, just barely audible to Meri. It's finally out, everything! Meri's response came in a completely quiet tone that was full of strength. And now they have to answer for it. Courtroom erupted into whispers, reporters furiously typing, cameras flashing, and family members staring at each other with a mix of shock, relief, and lingering betrayal. But as the judge slammed the gavel for the first formal adjournment since Aurora's letter, a shadow of anticipation loomed. For somewhere, Kody Brown's dead man switch still waited, and the footage he threatened to release could still turn this entire courtroom upside down. Christine, Meri, and Janelle looked at one another. None of them said a word, yet all three knew the war was far from over. "Tomorrow," Christine whispered under her breath. "Tomorrow we find out what else he's hiding." Courtroom had barely begun to clear when the unexpected happened. A bailiff ran in, urgency in his stride. "Your Honor," he shouted, "Kody Brown has released a recorded statement from his jail cell." Christine froze, her grip on Trilly's hand tightening. Meri's eyes widened. Janelle straightened, phone at the ready to record anything that would happen, yet afraid of what would transpire. The judge cocked an eyebrow. "Recorded statement? Not standard procedure." "Play it." The bailiff placed the phone on the courtroom speaker. The room fell into that heavy, tense silence, the kind where everyone instinctively leaned forward. Kody's voice came out hoarse, bitter, and sharp over the speaker. "You think this is over? You think Meri won? Christine, Janelle? I've got insurance. I've got footage. I've got names." The words came like ice water. The families looked at each other nervously. Christine's eyes widened. "Footage? Names," she whispered. Kody continued, his tone dark and deliberate. "Pause. You take me down, I take everyone with me." A shiver ran through the courtroom. Journalists were writing furiously. The legal teams were conferring urgently. The threat was clear. Kody had prepared a dead man's switch, something that could unravel everything the Browns, the network, and even the courtroom had been fighting to expose. Meri breathed out slowly, but her hands still shook. She knew Kody had always been calculating, but to hear it now so bluntly, so cold made it terrifyingly real. Christine's voice trembled as she inclined towards Meri. "Do you think he'll actually release it?" Meri shook her head. "I don't know, but we have to assume he will. That's the point of a dead man's switch." The judge composed himself and spoke firmly. "This court will not be cowed by threats. We will proceed on the understanding that safety and integrity of the proceedings must be upheld. However, the existence of this recording will be noted, and precautions will be taken to secure any potential material." But the tension didn't lift. Every face in the courtroom reflected the same unspoken thought. What exactly did Kody have? What footage? What names? And who would it affect, his family, the network, or both? She whispered under her breath, almost to herself. He always had a plan for everything. And this could destroy us. Janelle, normally calm, pulled her phone closer. "We need to warn everyone. The children. Crew. Anyone that could be mentioned." Meri's eyes blazed with a fierce inner fire. "Let him try. We've survived worse. But this is our moment. Truth has a way of coming out no matter the threats." The doors to the court burst open once more. A messenger stepped inside and handed the judge a sealed envelope. "Your Honor, this just arrived from the jail. Marked urgent." The judge's face clouded. "Open it." Inside was a single USB drive. The label was handwritten, "For release only if the court proceeds against me." The court froze. The dead man's switch was real. Kody had prepared evidence that could disrupt the trial, publicly shame the network, and potentially incriminate anyone he believed had betrayed him. Prosecutor immediately rose. "Your Honor, we request that all digital materials be secured immediately. This is evidence which may pertain to criminal extortion, obstruction, and further fraud." The murmurs in the courtroom got louder. Christine, Meri, and Janelle exchanged worried glances, but Dayton leaned forward, jaw tight, whispering only to Meri, "We have to be careful. Kody is desperate, and desperate people do dangerous things." Meri nodded slowly, the weight of years of betrayal settling heavier than ever. "We've already seen the worst he's capable of. This is just another chapter." The judge banged the gavel, calling for order to be maintained. "This session is adjourned for today. All the evidence, including the USB drive, will be cataloged and secured. Court will reconvene tomorrow to assess the threat and determine next steps. Any attempts to interfere with proceedings or release material without authorization will be treated as criminal acts. The gallery was beginning to clear, yet nobody moved in a hurry. The air was electric. Every step had weight to it from anticipation. Porters were whispering theories to one another. Legal assistants spoke in hushed tones. And the Browns themselves walked out together, a mix of fear, anger, and determination etched into their faces. Christine's voice barely rose above a whisper as she turned to Meri. "Do you think he'll release it tonight?" Meri didn't take her gaze away from the doors of the courthouse. "If he does, we'll survive. We always survive. But what he's hiding, that's the real question. And tomorrow we find out." The tension in the air lingered like a storm on the horizon. Everyone knew this was no longer just a trial, it was a war. A war of truth, betrayal, and power. And Kody Brown had just drawn his first line in the sand. Courtroom barely had time to breathe after Kody's chilling recording when the judge called for an immediate recess. Bailiffs moved swiftly, securing the USB drive. Kody had sent a literal ticking time bomb in the hands of the court. Every assistant, clerk, and officer knew this was no ordinary piece of evidence. This was Kody's insurance, his threat, and possibly the key to more explosive revelations. Christine, Meri, and Janelle remained seated, observing as the drive was carefully put into a sealed evidence bag and whisked away under armed escort. Their hearts were racing to the same rhythm. Dayton leaned over to Meri and whispered, "He planned this perfectly. Everything, every detail. He's not just a fraud, he's a strategist." Meri let out a slow breath. "We've seen his games before. But this feels different. He's playing with fire and we're standing next to it." Reporters scrambled to make sense of what had just transpired outside the courtroom. Live cameras, frenzied tweets, and news alerts were spreading Kody's threat across the country before the court reconvened. Breaking, Kody Brown's dead man switch threatens TLC and family, the headlines screamed. Social media went into overdrive. Fans, former crew members, and legal analysts debated what was on that footage. Back inside, the stern, unflinching judge said, "We are going to invoke emergency procedures. All digital evidence presented by the defendant or found related to the case will be taken into federal custody. No copies, no leaks, no exceptions. Any unauthorized release will be met with immediate contempt of court and criminal prosecution." Christine pressed her hands together, her jaw tight. "He's trying to control the narrative from jail. He thinks fear is power." Meri's eyes flashed with a quiet fury. "We can't let him. Every manipulation, every threat, every lie he has used. This is our chance, finally, to show the truth." Meanwhile, the attorneys for the Browns scrambled, coordinating with federal agents and digital forensics experts. They began immediate forensic analysis of the USB drive, examining file structures, timestamps, and potential encryption. Every detail mattered. A single overlooked clip could reignite chaos or be used to weaponize against the family and the network. Usually reserved, Janelle leaned towards Christine. "Do you think he included Aurora in this? I've been worried he might try to drag her name into it." Christine shook her head. "I hope not. But with Kody, expect the unexpected." A network representative finally spoke from the back of the courtroom, stepping forward nervously. "Your Honor, we request a court order to prevent any unauthorized publication or media discussion regarding the materials recently submitted by Mr. Kody Brown," said Harold Levine, TLC's legal liaison, after clearing his throat. "We have reason to believe some content may include proprietary footage and private communications, not intended for public dissemination." Meri shot him a glare. "You mean stop the truth from getting out? Stop people from seeing what you've been exploiting all these years?" The murmurs in the courtroom grew louder as tension cut through the air like a knife. The judge raised a hand, silencing the crowd. TLC's request is noted, but the court's priority is integrity, transparency, and the protection of all parties. Any evidence of fraud, emotional manipulation, or exploitation will be reviewed and considered, regardless of network concerns. Dayton whispered to her from where he stood near the front. "We're finally moving from whispers to proof. Kody may have planned to scare us, but he just opened the door to the evidence that can end this." Meri nodded firmly with a steady voice. "Then we step through it. No more hiding and no more lies. Everyone deserves the truth." Court adjourned for the day to secure the drive and its contents, but it would seem that anticipation was as thick as could be. Journalists, lawyers, and even family members could feel the weight of the next session looming. The USB drive wasn't just a piece of technology. It was the symbol of all the secrets, betrayals, and manipulation Kody had orchestrated. Christine whispered to Janelle as they were going out of the room. "Tomorrow changes everything. We'll see just how deep his schemes go and if TLC was in it or just another pawn." Janelle's face did not change from somber. If what's on that drive comes out, it could destroy reputations, careers, even marriages. But the truth can't be stopped. And as they left the courthouse, the one lingering thought in the air, like a storm about to break, was Kody Brown may be sitting in jail, but his influence, his threat, and his secrets were still alive and waiting to strike. The courtroom was tense, that kind of silence where every footstep echoed like thunder. Robyn Brown, still recovering in the hospital, had been placed under protective custody. The judge had arranged a secure video link so her deposition could be read aloud, under oath, and on record. The gallery held its collective breath. This wasn't just another testimony. It was the key to exposing the depth of the Browns' deception. The monitor flickered to life. Robyn's face appeared, pale but composed. Her hands rested on the bed rails. Christine, Meri, and Janelle leaned forward, eyes fastened to her. There wouldn't be any manipulations this time, no whispered instructions. This was the truth, unfiltered. The judge spoke slowly, deliberately. "This is the sworn deposition of Robyn Alice Brown. You understand you are under oath?" Robyn's lips quivered, but she nodded. "I do." "Do you acknowledge that you took part in the creation or editing of a forged power of attorney used to access funds belonging to Meri Brown?" asked the judge. Her eyes flickered to the camera for a moment. For an instant, she seemed to waver, but then, with a controlled breath, she spoke. "Yes." The word fell into the room like a hammer on metal. There was silence, heavier than before. The truth, finally, had been spoken. The judge leaned forward. "Do you have anything else to say before the charges are filed?" Robyn's voice steadied. "I knew what I was doing. I thought I was protecting my family. But all I did was destroy it. And I can't undo it." Christine's jaw clenched. Meri slowly released a breath, as if taking it all in. Even Janelle, who rarely reacted outwardly, squirmed in her seat, the weight of the confession bearing down on her. Then the judge held up a sealed envelope. "This letter, submitted by Aurora Brown, will now be read into the record." The room tensed again. Aurora's letter had been awaited with anticipation and dread. The judge carefully unfolded the pages. "My name is Aurora Brown," the letter started. "I am the legal daughter of Robyn and the adopted daughter of Kody. I am writing this because I cannot testify in person. I love my family, but I have been asked to lie too many times. This is my truth." Courtroom collectively leaned in. Christine's eyes closed, bracing herself. Meri gripped Janelle's hand. Aurora's words cut deep. "In 2020, my mom asked me to sign a document I didn't read. She said it was for family safety. Later, I discovered that it was a trust account and the withdrawals were not for me. I realized that sometimes women have to clean up men's messes, but I understood then that something was wrong. I found a flash drive with recordings of meetings between Kody and Robyn discussing contracts, episode strategies, and how to manipulate storylines for the network. I listened, and I knew it was wrong. I could no longer participate in the lies." Gasps resounded throughout the room. Meri's eyes blazed with anger. "They weren't just lying to us, they were manufacturing pain for ratings." The judge continued to read. "Kody and Robyn discussed faking therapy sessions, manipulating confrontations, staging emotional breakdowns. They called it the reunion cycle. They planned episodes around our reactions, calculated our tears, and used hope as a weapon. Once more, the room hushed due to the suffocating weight of Aurora's words. Christine whispered to Janelle, "It wasn't only Kody, it was Robyn too. They used all of us." The letter Aurora wrote concluded, "I sent this drive to the court. I love my mom, but I can no longer protect her from herself. Please let the truth be known." The judge looked up slowly. "This court recognizes Aurora Brown's affidavit as an official record under penalty of perjury. We will consider the evidence in full, and the motion to add Robyn Brown as a co-defendant stands. Federal investigation will proceed. This is no longer a question of family drama. It is a matter of fraud, racketeering, and deliberate emotional exploitation." Meri rose, voice unwavering. "If you're at home, know this, our pain was real. Tears were real. But everything else, cryptid. They profited from it while we bled." The gallery erupted into quiet applause. Journalists scrambled to capture every word. Reporters whispered and cameras flashed. The truth had come out, unfiltered and damning. And yet, with Robyn's deposition and Aurora's bombshell, one question still lingered in the courtroom. What else had Kody hidden in his dead man's switch? Christine whispered to Meri, leaning in, "Tomorrow we find out. The footage. Contracts. Every secret." Meri's jaw tightened. "We're ready." With the storm only just beginning, the courtroom emptied. The morning sun had just pierced the courthouse windows when the doors to the courtroom swung open once more. Courtroom staff, family members, and the respective legal teams assembled. Robyn remained in protective custody at the hospital, where her deposition was fresh in everyone's mind. Today, the air was charged with a new tension. Something had arrived overnight, something that would bring down the network that had filmed their lives for profit. A plain, black binder had been delivered with no return address, sealed in thick plastic. Clerk carefully handed it to the judge. "This is labeled as a TLC talent contract revision," he said. Murmurs ran through the gallery. Meri leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "I've never seen this version," she whispered. Christine's hand tightened around her daughter Trilly's. Janelle pulled out her own copy from 2019, the contrast already shocking. The judge took a moment to raise the binder slowly. "For the record, this document was delivered anonymously to this court. Can anyone on either side verify its authenticity?" Prosecution shook their heads. The judge proceeded to say, "We will now read the clauses aloud. Section 4B, Exclusive Narrative Control, granting Robyn and Kody the right to review footage involving other spouses before air date." There were collective gasps. Christine's eyes widened. "They could see our every reaction before the world did?" Section 7D, Image Preservation Clause pledged bonus payments to Robyn and Kody in return for maintaining the family structure on screen through the term, even if they actually separated. Meri's jaw clenched. They were profiting off lies while we were living them. Section 11C, Emergency Production Protection Clause. If any wife threatened to leave, Kody could shift filming focus and prevent storylines from straying. The murmurs in the courtroom grew louder. Christine whispered, "So every time he centered Robyn, it wasn't love, it was control and money." The final pages revealed signatures, Kody W. Brown and Robyn A. Brown, but none for Meri, Christine, or Janelle. What stood out starkly was this fact. The network, and the Browns, had used these clauses to manipulate storylines, provoke confrontations, and exploit their emotions for ratings and profit. The judge leaned forward. "This document, if verified, opens the door to civil suits against the network." Meri's voice trembled but was firm. "I want a full audit of payments. They profited from our suffering. I want damages. Every penny." Christine stepped forward. "I was never shown this version. I lost income because of it." Janelle nodded silently, clutching her 2019 contract. Courtroom was in chaos. Whispers turned into murmurs, murmurs into gasps. They had been deceived not just by family but by the cameras themselves. Then the doors burst open. A man in a suit entered flanked by two lawyers. Harold Levine, TLC's legal representative, stepped forward. Your Honor, we request that all discussion regarding the leaked contract be moved to private arbitration. Meri's eyes flared. You mean cover up your tracks? Courtroom tensed. Christine muttered, Of course they'd try that. The judge's eyes narrowed. Private arbitration will not be recognized in criminal or civil proceedings under fraud. If this document is real, the network will answer for it. Harold Levine froze. The game had changed. Even as the legal team scrambled, Dayton approached the bench, holding a sealed envelope. It's from Aurora, he said quietly. She cannot testify in person but wants this on the record. The judge accepted it, marking it for Session 8. It didn't stop there. Meri found a second binder in Kody's truck, a 2017 document detailing production bonuses related to emotional storylines. Episode 14, Meri Confrontation, bonus $12,500 for visible tears before final edit. Christine's hands were trembling. They paid to make us cry. They profited from our pain. The judge sat back, digesting the evidence. We will initiate civil discovery against TLC concurrent with the fraud action. Cast members not named on the amended contract have claims for compensation and damages. Even as the session let out, the storm still hadn't subsided. Dayton approached Meri and Christine in hushed tones. Aurora's letter, the contracts, it's all tied in together. Kody's dead man switch isn't just a threat, it's evidence of more he controlled. Before anyone present could say anything, a bailiff came running in. Your Honor, a recorded message from Kody Brown has just been received from his jail cell. The courtroom froze. Christine frowned. That's not allowed. The judge's eyes narrowed. Play it. The voice of Kody echoed croaky, bitter, and chilling through the speakers. You think this is over? You think Meri won? Christine, Janelle. I've got insurance. I've got footage. I've got names. Pause. You take me down, I take everyone with me. The room fell silent. The threat of the dead man's switch was real. Kody had left a ticking bomb, one last warning that this war was far from over. Christine leaned toward Meri, whispering, We're about to find out what he's hiding. The footage. Every secret. Meri's eyes narrowed. We're ready. Whatever it takes. The courthouse cleared, yet the network's empire and the family's secrets were hanging by a thread, and the battle was far from over.